Well, hello everyone and welcome. We're just got a few more people joining us this morning. It's great to, or this morning for you, this afternoon for me. Hi. I'm Kathy Welter and I'm so delighted to be here with you. One of the fun things I've been seeing in presentations like this just recently is people go into the chat and just put in where you're from. And I thought if you wouldn't mind just jotting in hello and where are you calling in from? I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and it's cold here. And I think where you are in Australia, you're in your spring and summer's coming soon. So let me know where you're calling in from. I'll put me in here. I'm in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Kathy, it's Meister here. I do not know how to use that other thing to chat with, so I'm talking to you. I'm in New Zealand.
In New Zealand?
I'm in New Zealand. It's 11 o'clock in the morning and it's raining and it's sunny all at the same time, so it's quite interesting.
Oh, that's Ballarat every day. It's just freezing cold here. It's a shithole, honestly. And now we've got floods.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we've got somebody from the UK. Hello, Trish. And Emma from Canberra, and someone from New Zealand, and the USA. Agnes, hello, from New Jersey. You'll be getting some cooler weather now, too. So it's great to have everybody here with us now. It's awesome. Now, for something completely different, I was wondering if you would also type into the chat, how many years have you been a practicing hypnotherapist? I'm going to put me in 35 years. Can you believe it? How about all the rest of you? How many years have you been doing this work? And go ahead, I know. Yes.
30 years.
30. Wow. Wow. 32 years, 18 years. Oh, welcome to the newbies too. I love this. 4 years. Fantastic. First year, Emma, way to go. Way to go. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing and welcome to this time together. I'm excited to present this for you, and certainly being in this practice for as many years as we have, my husband and I, we certainly do become kind of experts in our field, but for both of us, we have not ever wanted to get stagnant. And so we have continued to learn new things, gain new information, tons of reading, courses, and you're probably all doing the same yourselves. If not, I encourage you to keep on studying because there's so much changing in the world of understanding how our brain is actually working. So I think we've pretty much got everybody in, haven't we, Trish? What do you think?
Oh, they'll pop in and out for the next 45 minutes, sweetheart. So gosh knows.
So we better get started.
I always get emails. I'm confused. I can just like, yeah, okay, it's all good. Chill out.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to start here, and this is my presentation for all of you today. And what I have done is really carefully selected material of things I wanted to share with you that I'm excited about as a hypnotherapist and as an NLP trainer and as a coach. And one of the exciting things that kind of popped up for me recently was I had myself listed as a hypnotherapy coach. I'm an NLP coach and I've done coaching courses, and you probably have, or maybe thinking of it too. But I put myself in as a hypnotherapy coach and I'm the only one. So it bounced me right to the top of Google. And I just think, that was kind of an interesting thing. So we've kind of termed what we're doing now as being into the practice of hypnotherapy coaching. We need a little bit of both. Not extensive amounts of therapy and talking about things, because our practice is really predicated on working with that deep trance experience. And I'm going to share with you some of the exciting things I got into when I was taking the neuroscience programs. So this is us, and I really thank Trish for that lovely little picture she made of my husband and I. And we have a a YouTube channel, and it's the NLP channel. And we also have a whole lot of different courses we've developed over time. And these are really done as master classes now. They're not, you can get hypnotherapy training and you can get NLP training, which we also do. But we wanted to take it up a notch and go into more of the mastering what we're doing. And so that's what we've done, is created all these little mini classes so that we can actually share them with people, and they're not too labor intensive, nor are they too expensive. It doesn't require a lot of your commitment and time. So what we're looking at here today is the hidden past, the hidden present, and the hidden future. And as soon as I heard that collection of language that way, I was like, this is my terrain. I live in what's hidden. And I know as hypnotherapists, you probably find you do too. We're kind of looking to get those files to open for us so we can see what's going on in that hidden past. When I first studied with Dr. John Barr, he was really interested in what's going on in the hidden present because it's programming the hidden future. What? Yeah. Can you imagine? He wasn't interested here at all. This is where I tend to hang out in the past. But here in the hidden present, we are actually programming our hidden future. This was like just an aha moment on steroids for me. I went, oh my gosh, no wonder people come to me and they're going, I keep getting the same results. I keep getting the same outcome. I keep getting the same this, that, or the other thing. Why? Because they keep bringing it out of their past into the present, and this projects it into the future. We're future pacing whether we want to or not, or whether we believe it or not. So our hidden past, let's look at this. We have a brain that has the capability of doing inverse referencing of the system of the non-conscious or unconscious. And this is where all this stuff gets started. It's right down here, and the number one is our beliefs. Where do we get our beliefs from? Well, there's a good segment of it in the, and Trish, I'm just going to ask you to monitor those chats. If there's anything you want me to speak to, just say.
Easy breezy.
Okay. Thank you, darling. And so the beliefs are covered in our hypnotherapy courses. Beliefs are covered in therapy models. Beliefs are covered in coaching. Beliefs are covered everywhere. But it's given kind of a little bit of a cursory approach. What I mean by that is it's part of a bigger model of work. And so it doesn't really get the focus that it's needing because it's in our beliefs. That's where we're conducting our hidden programs. And we'll get deeper into this in a moment. We're going to look a little, I just pulled a couple of neuroscience slides out for you. Nothing too overwhelming, and I really don't want to do that. But we do have, in one of our programs is 4 weeks of studying the neurobiology, neuroplasticity, and the neuroscience model. For hypnotherapists, it's geared to you, and it's geared to people that are in coaching or in NLP. So neurons are the primary cells in the brain and the body, and there's trillions of them. Who knew? Trillions of these neurons are within the body system, and all of them relay back and forth to the brain. And the brain is our central intelligence system, like the computer, which we've been told. However, surprise, surprise, the heart has 44% of its cells are the same as what we find in the brain. So there's a big communication going on between the heart and the brain. And in fact, the heart and the gut are actually working together to feed some of this information up to the brain for translation. It's really fascinating. Every human movement, thought, or feeling is precisely timed electrical signals traveling through the chain of neurons. It's a circuit of nerve fibers, and we have trillions of them. And look, they go everywhere. It's everywhere, right to our toes. What if I have an amputee right here? Those cells, those neurons, are not amputated per se. They continue to run the length right to the toes, trying to make the connection to send it back to the brain. Our body is so intelligent. It knows all of its components. It knows what we were born with. And even if pieces are removed, it will continue to try and connect. This is where we get phantom pain. And we can help our clients with phantom pain quite beautifully. Really, we can. So the more we fire a particular circuit, the more the circuit becomes optimized. The stronger, faster, and more fluent our movements and thoughts become. So think of that little toddler that's learning to pull itself up and start to walk around. It is firing off all these neuronal connections, strengthening them, giving that information back to the brain so that the brain continues to work with that even when they're sleeping. We'll see their little movements of their legs because their brain is constantly working with that new information that's coming through. So changes in these connections, which is what we refer to as plasticity, and I'll just say here, plasticity, the word origin is a Greek one, of course, and the Greek word is plasticine or plastic, malleable, mutable. That's the whole concept of neuroplasticity. Our brain, this is the shocking part of it all, which has really kind of tipped neuroscience on its heels and science on its heels. Everybody's kind of going, oh my goodness, we have to change our mind about these things. Because these connections are plastic. And they're part of the essential part of learning. So we're going to look at the synapses, we're going to look a little bit at the axon and the myelin, and we're going to look at this inverse referencing capability of the brain. I wanted you guys to see this. This is the nerve fiber, okay? When we have a cell and here's our synapses at the end, there's this long, thin kind of axon that connects the two. Now what happens is over a lifetime of that axon being used, this thickens. Myelin wraps around this nerve fiber, preventing electrical impulses from leaking out. For a long time, researchers focused their attention on the neurons and the synapses, and they didn't really look at this sort of inert insulation until this happens. What is this? What are we looking at here? This is early dementia. This is Alzheimer's. When we have damage to the myelin, they are not sure why that happens yet. We don't have all the information yet, but when this starts to happen, we'll start to see certain areas of the brain become more solid, less malleable. And now we have memory loss and we have other things that come with that. This is damaged myelin. And we also see this in that Parkinson's. This also has it. So what's going on here? This particular neuron, wrapped thickly with this myelin sheath, okay, how does this affect us as hypnotherapists? We'll get there. But I think this is really important. This wraps around here, and as it wraps around here, this speeds up the transmission through this axon. How fast can an axon send information through here? About 1.5 million times faster, 1.5 million times faster than when it has no insulation at all. So when we learn something new and it's a brand new synaptic connection that's forming, of course it takes us time. We have to practice and practice and practice. These older ones, though, that we've had for our lifetime, how to walk, how to eat with our fork and knife, how to eat with chopsticks, these things, they have a very rapid pace flowing through here. Now in our neural net in the brain, there are 9, pretty much 9, there may be more, but right now it's believed there's 9 central hubs of these fibers that connect out pretty much to everything else in the brain. Every night you go to sleep, and you lose about 500,000 of these. Why? It's part of the internal housekeeping. When you don't sleep, the housekeeping doesn't happen. This is what we're starting to see since COVID and people stopped sleeping. Oh, I can stay up all night, I don't have to go to work, right? And so people started having problems, not necessarily damaging myelin, but the housekeeping that was going on in the brain wasn't happening because sleep wasn't happening. When my clients come to me, this is one of the areas I ask about. How's your sleep? I want to know right away. How are they dealing with sleep? Oh, I'm not sleeping. I only get 3 hours a night. Okay, we got to deal with that, because that's going to help the brain actually serve us so much better. So once the brain determines similarity, patterns, we learn patterns as children in school. Group the animals together and what's different. Oh, the fruit doesn't belong with the animals. We're taught that in schools. It's actually training the brain to identify similarity. It's something the brain does on its own. So that aha moment as we grow up, as we get older, and the person is there in a session with us, the person's behavior, they're sort of like, oh, that guy behaves like my dad or my uncle or my teacher. What was my relationship with those people? Well, I liked my father. I couldn't stand my father. I didn't like my uncle. I loved my teacher. These emotions are also part of what drives the information through the brain. So this is how my mother's voice sounded when she was critical. This person's behaving the way my ex did, or my third grade teacher. And the non-conscious, pardon me, releases the chemistry while accessing the memory from the past into the present moment now. And it's done unconsciously. This is how we get that information into the now. And we are the ones, humans are the ones with this incredible brain with the capability of that inverse referencing. When our clients say to us, how did I get this way? That's how. We've learned a pattern, and we continue to harvest from the past into the present moment and project into our future. That's what we're doing. It sounds simple, but it's also quite complex. So I wanted to share this with you. It's quite a good little video. It's very short, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Confirmation bias, we get this stuff before the age of 7. Before we are cognitively aware to think, do I believe that or not? See, people believe in conspiracies and all kinds of things today. Where do they get that from? Let's have a look.
Why do we love music so much? And why do we sometimes really like an artist just to be greatly disappointed by their new album? If the musicians didn't just suddenly lose their talent, what happened here? The secret to why we like music lies in the anticipation, repetition, and recognition. When a band changes their style, they fail to fulfill our expectations. What's remarkable, though, is our brain does not only process music that way. We are designed to find patterns in everything we hear, everything we take in, and the information we learn makes up the construction of our opinions. Once we established a belief, we go further in seeking supporting material. We find confirmation in the media, our own experiences, or what others tell us. Though useful in acquiring knowledge, here's the downside. Any information that threatens the architecture inside our heads will be disregarded. Our brain does not like the identified pattern to be broken, just like it wants to keep listening to a catchy song. Generally speaking, we're constantly looking for reassurance of our values. Contradiction causes us discomfort, which is even stronger when emotions and habits are involved. So we don't challenge our own beliefs, even if we're exposed to evidence against them. The phenomenon is called confirmation bias, and occurs to everybody. Journalists, uncles, doctors, students, teachers, and even politicians. Especially intelligent and educated people are subject to bias because it happens subconsciously and merely knowing of the issue doesn't prevent it. Real critical thinking is physically exhausting, and in a fast-paced, information-loaded world, we often need to rely on our instincts to make quick decisions. Yet, if we admit to ourselves we are wrong in something, we must face the fact that we don't think as logically as we assumed. Scientists therefore have to actively find methods to overcome it. For example, trying to disprove a theory in order to test it. That is why you should always question everything. Because we grow by keeping an open mind. Just like with music, we can only discover beautiful new things when we open up to what is different to what we already know.
So we're seeing lots of this confirmation bias in the world right now, and certainly in media and news. My gosh, you can get into all kinds of different opinion. This is what's going on. Our stories from the past keep things active in the present moment, and they're programming our future. So what I've been doing with my clients is really this. We talk about what are their stresses when they're coming in for a session, and yet what I'm coaching them in and helping them with is recognizing how they're triggering that stress from the past, and how they escalate it, and how they utilize outside input to make it even stronger. The client is sitting right there in front of me trying to explain to me how terrifying that spider was, and they're going through all their emotive stuff. Well, it's not, I don't have that problem, but they want me to feel that intensity. So what we want to do here is we want to start to recognize how they're using their emotions to really escalate the pattern, because it's the emotions that keep these stories from the past. What we do as hypnotherapists, which I totally get and love, is we interrupt it right here. We reframe across the heightened state of anxiety, and we come out the other side. And by the time we've done 2 or 3 sessions with them, in just a few months' time, this isn't going to be a problem for them. Why? Because they won't have the emotional content. If we reframe and we repair these old stressors for them and with them, and we help them continue to do that when they're on their own, their recovery is like this situation. What do we do here? This is a father-daughter challenge with a stepmother challenge and a mother that seems to be supporting her. So I'm going to regress to the very first issue. And then we're going to reframe all the way through because she's got a million of them here. Guess what this is going to mess with? This is going to be messing with her employer, if she's got somebody at work that reminds her of her dad, or a new boyfriend that lets her down. The very first time he lets her down, oh, he's just like my dad. Here we go again. How are we programming into the present? And how are we programming into our future? That's it right there. So when we work with these past stories and we begin to move it into the present moment of now, and we're watching that person go through what they're feeling, and then we know the things to bring forward to work with. There's all kinds of different things that we can utilize: timeline, perceptual positions, a variety of different NLP reframes, things of this sort. Each and every layer that we go through with the client is bringing this down. It's bringing it down to a point where they recognize when they're triggering it themselves, and they know what they're going to do about it. She would run to her mom and dump all her stuff on her mother, or dump all her stuff on her friends. Here comes her anxiety. Phone up my mom. My dad's doing this again. Mom doesn't deserve that, nor does she need it. What can this person do to take more responsibility for the things that she's doing? Look at here, totally out of control, angry at everyone. Heart's racing, my stomach hurts. So now we've got a bit of IBS going on too. And see, people can present with these different problems with us, and then we trace it back, and oh my gosh, here it is. So we have these two systems, and this is where I think the work I've done in the past with meditation and mindfulness really stepped up. I got it straight away. We have these two systems, parasympathetic and sympathetic. One's positive, one's negative. What's this positive one do? Floats dopamine, endorphins, wonderful positive emotions through our body, through the whole of the body, the whole neural net. What does the negative emotional attractor do? Fight, flight, fear, anger, all that rises up. That's catecholamines, norepinephrine, stuff pumping out of the kidneys directly through the adrenal glands into the heart, the charge, the upset. These are our two systems. Guess what? They're the only two systems as humans we actually have control over. What? We can control this? Don't I need drugs or a prescription? No, you don't. And we as hypnotherapists are doing this for our clients all the time. They present with this upset state. Okay, and keep in mind, these are the only two systems in the structure of the human being that we consciously have control over. What do we ask them to do? Take a deep breath in. Breathe down into your belly. Breathe in and out through your nose. The body starts to drift into a relaxation state. We've just lifted them out of panic, stress, and anxiety, or even phobic reaction, and we're starting to trigger their parasympathetic system. Now, here's another part of our brain. It doesn't know the difference from remembering an event or the event happening right now. The same parts of the brain fire off, whether it's in the event or it's just recalling the event. The same chemistry floods through the body. The same thing is happening, but the person's sitting in front of you and none of that's even happening. I've had some clients like really getting excited and I go, okay, just take a deep breath in. Remember you're in this room with me. Remember you're right here, right now. Feel your feet on the ground. Right, but it so upset me. Off they go again. Okay, so they are triggering that negative emotional attractor. And I want them here because this is going to down-regulate those stressors for them. I don't have to do anything, but just simply put them into that deep trance. The same areas of the brain light up with similar intensity. Stress, anxiety, interrupted sleep. Wow. Moderate stress is good. Hence, I keep taking courses and writing exams because it stresses my brain and it's a good stress. Long-term stress, however, and stressful experiences, they're harmful to our brain. Sleep deprivation causes an increased cell death in the brain. It decreases neurogenesis. Neurogenesis is the creation of new cells that happens only during sleep. This is why sleep is so important. This is why newborn babies sleep like 24 hours a day, or should, because their brain is just generating tons and tons of these new cells. Neuronal survival is also negatively affected, perhaps due to the decrease in growth factors of those brain cells. Long-term stress, not a good thing. The important result of all this is that this decrease in the neuroplasticity has direct effects on our cognition, leading to impaired learning and memory loss. Where did I put my keys? I can't remember things. What was that person's name? Short-term memory loss is affected the fastest. So hypnosis really changes everything. And when I did some of these studies in neuroscience, I was like, wow, this is our work. This is our business. We are actually putting every one of our clients into this state when they come to see us, and we drop them into a deep trance state. they get all this positive chemistry. Whatever they're presenting with, whatever this negative stuff is, it falls away. Sorry. During hypnosis, we can deconstruct experience, emotion, and attribute different meaning to changes in the body. I'm feeling really good. Gosh, that situation isn't bothering me as much. When I think about it now, I don't have an emotional response to it. We call this kind of a syntactic experience when emotions cross over a memory, and it's sort of like the thing fires off at exactly the same moment. And when that's happening, we have a challenge to slow the process down, so I'm just feeling what I'm actually feeling and not actually going into the event itself. But we can't tell if they're so tightly connected. So using our breath to interrupt negative state and trigger the positive emotions, that's what we're doing. We learn how to suspend these predictive processes and move into mindful awareness. And that's what I'm now doing in the coaching aspect of it. I'm teaching my clients when they're with me, I'm spending much more time on self-hypnosis. I don't call it that. I call it mindfulness. Mindfulness seems to be quite an acceptable terminology out there in the general public. I use what they're comfortable with. I don't want to use, this is going to be meditation. Oh, that's hard. I've tried. I could. Okay, no worries. We're just going to do mindful. Okay? Because there's no rejection of the possibility. It doesn't take us into something else completely different. So this is going to start to help interrupt those habitual references, reviewing the past activity housed in that sensory detail. This is where mindful meditation does come in, but I teach this as part of that self-hypnosis process. And I don't tell them it's self-hypnosis either. I give them an MP3. This is a breathing MP3. I want you to use it every day, just breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. That's all it is. When can I use it? How can I use it? What if all that. Just relax and breathe. Sometimes it's hard to get people to do that. I don't know about you, but a lot of our work is recordings for people. We're, mastering MP3s for people all the time that are unique to them. And then we check in with, well, no, I didn't download it. No, I didn't use it. Oh, and so I kind of say to my clients, if you were sitting in front of a doctor and the doctor wrote out a prescription for you to take 2 of these tablets every day, would you come back to the doctor a week later and say, it's all still the same, but no, I didn't take those pills. Here's my prescription. I want you to listen every day, once a day. It's only 5 minutes. I'm going to teach you breathing. And they do. They finally get it. Yes, they have to participate. I think in some cases we've kind of shot ourselves in the other foot by pretending that hypnosis doesn't require any participation really from the client. They have to do their part. The hidden present. This is where the capacity for challenging moments occurs right now in the moment. I'm working with a young man who's an architect, and he's brilliant in what he does, but he has challenges with reading people's emotional state. So he would sit in this meeting and say, that guy hates me. This woman doesn't want anything to do with me. This person over here doesn't like what I presented. I'm not doing well enough, this kind of thing. So he makes up these beliefs based on his hidden past as his reference. He's bringing it into the moment now. This is not useful in the present moment. And so it's causing him anxiety and stress, and he's not interacting with the people at work in a way that's going to benefit his career. We have the capacity with our brain to really pay attention to things that are important to us. We tell ourselves what's important to us from our beliefs. And that's what we're paying attention to. So when we start to get into this area of what we pay attention to, this is where I was sharing with Trish a while ago. Our conscious mind pays attention to about 50 thoughts per second. 50 thoughts per second. I'm thinking that's pretty quick. You know, can I actually think about 50 things per second? That's a lot. Your unconscious, your non-conscious, paying attention to somewhere in the range of 11 trillion thoughts per second. What? That's the capability of the non-conscious. What's it paying attention to? Body temperature. Do I need to swallow now? Do I need to blink my eyes? Do I need to take a breath in? Should I straighten my body? Should I sit in a different way? Is my foot getting sore? Has my left foot gone to sleep? It's doing all that. Pardon me. It's also digesting for you. It's breathing for you. It's regulating heart rate and blood pressure. And I mean, seriously, it's a massive organ in our body. And in addition to this, it's also paying attention, watching for anything going on out there that could cause me a problem. You know, I want a parking space right in front of my doctor's office. Now I can't find one. Now I'm getting frustrated. Now I'm getting excited. Now I'm upset. Now I'm referencing the past. I never get a parking spot. It never works for me. How about the person who drives around with the parking angel? We've all heard about the parking angel. All you do is drive into the parking lot and ask the parking angel to find you a spot. Boom! Happens every time. It's amazing. So our brain has this capacity to both reference the past and bring its attention to what is most important to it right now. This is where we got into this beliefs model. And the beliefs model is triggered through these emotions. So the client's story lives with us here in the moment, okay? They're reliving the challenges from the past. And as we're sitting there listening to them, we know what they're doing. They're hauling material forward. They're bringing the past to the present. My mother, my father, my job, my boss, whatever. My dog, my whatever. It doesn't matter. The client's story is now being relived right here in the moment. And they'll relive the challenges from the past. And it reinfuses the chemistry of the event. And just like a record, it records it every time they talk about it and go through the feelings associated with it. The record etches it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Now we got to go get that. And we got to help it get changed. So the brain fires off in this negative chemistry. We ask them to breathe deeply, relaxing the body, increasing the positive. Out comes the good chemistry, and they feel better. This is what we've really done. We've altered the way the brain has written the memory right in the brain. The brain has changed the record permanently. Let me share this with you. In 2005, there was 2 neuroscientists at McGill University in Montreal, Canada. And they had heard of this woman who had a huge trauma when she was a child. She was under the age of 5 in a car accident with both her parents, and they both died at the scene, and she saw it all. So as a result, the woman is now in her mid-20s. She's never been able to drive. She can't drive in a car with other people. No one else can drive her anywhere. It's really challenging. Her life is really challenged with this whole issue. She has to walk everywhere. And so they brought her in, and I'm reading this, and I'm thinking, that's what we do. They brought her in, they put an IV on her, and it had dopamine, all the feel-good chemistry in it, endorphins, everything that they could put in there, oxytocin, synthetics of all of it, all the feel-good stuff in this IV, and she was on it for 5 hours. And through the 5 hours, they had her continue to relive the challenges that she went through from the past. And all the other times that had happened to her life up to that moment. I'm like, that's regression. They went the different way. They came back, but they went back and forth and back and forth. When it was over, she no longer had the traumatic experience. She wasn't walking around with this in her head anymore. It was amazing. And I'm reading this and I'm going like, that's what hypnosis does. So now when she would think of the memory, all she accessed was the feel-good chemistry. And over time, that memory, that thought, dissipated completely. Maybe some of you already know all of this, but for me, it was such an affirmation of the work we do. So this is another little one I wanted to play for you because this is talking about the neuroplasticity, the capability of the brain to change. Now, this is the coaching part of what we kind of need to bring to the table with our clients in hypnosis. We're doing the hypnotherapy with them, which is helping to change the brain, but this is the part they have to do.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid.
Oh, sorry. I touched my screen. Darn. Let me just see if I can pick it up where it was. Yes.
Not. Brain can and does change throughout
I
our
won't
lives.
touch it.
It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
So to me, this is where we are doing this on behalf of the client and with the client. And great care needs to be taken, of course, because we are literally helping them repurpose those beliefs. So beliefs established precognitive stages of the brain development before the age of 7 will continue to override present day experience. Wow! Can those beliefs be changed? Rewriting the hard drive. This is where I believe we have such a strong capacity to help people change what they're going through. Emotions are the catalyst that release the internal chemistry and change the systems. When we put them into a feel-good state, that's every bit as powerful as a fear, fight, and flight state. So we can change our state using our breath and trigger a release of the feel-good chemicals. The hidden future. We can change our future in the present moment by changing the reference we give to the past. The unconscious influence. In the hidden now, we are programming our hidden present and repeating the past. And programming the hidden future to repeat it. Why are we trying to engage with our future? Because the hidden future exerts this remarkable, invisible sway over us. We want to be able to sort of control it. We want some level of kind of controlling it. So we believe it offers us this form of control. over our hopes, dreams, goals? Can we actually change our future? So this is a trigram of potential, and to me it kind of hit me that this is the third dimension. We are in the third dimension, and when we think of the past, present, future equally having influence over us, and we're in the middle of it, then how is this all working? And if we're going to move our consciousness forward into what we kind of call 5D thinking or fifth dimensional thinking, which means the things we think about right now are actually manifesting in the moment, we need to get conscious about what this trigram is all about. And it's the past, present, and future. So the hypnotherapy coach, this is the big thing that came to me, and I was like, wow, what a breakthrough moment. The negative emotional attractor state. If we are trying to work with somebody and they're in a negative state, it lowers their visual capability and limits their imagination. It drops from 180 degrees head upright looking around down to 30 degrees. I saw this in one of my clients doing it as she was recounting this story to me. I was like, wow, her head dropped and her capacity to be able to do, it's like she put blinders on. And it increases the negative chemistry. Look at this, coaches to compliance rather than their creativity. Compliance, who wants to have to do something or should do something? And this is really where a lot of our medical model is right now. It's compliance oriented. So we want to coach to the vision they want, the positive emotional attractor. And this opens them up, allows for seeking new input rather than assessing from the old previous beliefs. We now move them into their own positive state. And this is kind of a useful question that one of my colleagues shared with me. And I was talking about things that clients have gone through. And he said to me, who knows, how do you know the client knows what's really going on? They don't. They're still in the past. They aren't paying attention at all to what's possible, what's in that future. So in this masterclass for hypnotherapists that we've created, we're definitely looking at the hidden past through the beliefs module. We look at the hidden present and how we're programming the hidden future. And this alchemy of beliefs is really a course unto itself. But it's got evidence-based neuroscience in it, some neuroplasticity. And this is one of the tools we use is mental contrasting and implementation intentions. These are little skills that you can actually do with your clients that's going to help them interrupt these patterns when they're not with you. So this adds skills and evidence from neuroscience to your practice, increasing your precision and your own awareness yourself. So it is a hypnotherapy coaching model. And this is what it's kind of predicated on, is the stuff that we've been up to in the past. I'm going to stop share for a second. I think I've got a couple of minutes left. And I want to be sure. And by the way, I'm going to send this to Trish as a PDF handout. And if you want it, just email her and ask her for it. So that in case you couldn't, screenshot or miss some of the information, it'll all be there for you. So I'm going to stop share this right now. Before I do, I'll just say this is the program's neuro leader, the alchemy of beliefs, meditation facilitator. Shaman Inside is one of them. So I'm just going to stop share here for a second. And I wanted to share with you just before we exit. I know there's questions, but these are some of the course material that we're going to get into in the program itself. And there's 4 documents here. So this is a simple morning ritual, which you can do as a handout, go through with your clients. It teaches them the mindful breathing. That's one of them. This one is fabulous. It's really about how the vagus nerve, and I used to believe it just had 2 channels. Look at this. They now know it has over 20 different channels into the gut. And this whole thing right here is wrapped around your stomach. Wow, talk about IBS issues, right? Whew. So anyway, this is a major piece too. And then we have assignment structures that we do with our clients. to help them kind of prepare to pay attention to those moment to moment issues that come up, take some notes and bring them back to our next session. And then this is the last one, is we build this blueprint to harness the interplay between the conscious and the non-conscious. And it really takes them into this little structure of how they can start to play with their own unconscious and how they can start to program it themselves. So it's really fun, and those are just a couple of the little handouts we have that go with it. So if I missed some questions, Trish, is there anything anybody wants to know?
So we'll have to email questions to Kathy. If you have any questions, please send them to me or reach out to Kathy. You can add her on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. If you have any questions, please reach out. She's more than willing to help. You know, she loves to talk and share as well. So yep, and it's inside the chat now, her email address. So if you have any questions, please email Kathy. We do have to move along because up next we have Olivia Walford, and she is screaming for more therapists to work with children. She's booked out 3 and 4 months in advance. She now has people on board, and she wants to show you how to work with kids in your hypnotherapy practice. So thank you so much, Kathy. I am totally on board when it comes to the vagus nerve, the second brain in the stomach, the enteric nervous system, like great, amazing stuff. That's all science-based, and it's right there. So thank you so much, Kathy, and we will catch everybody over in the next presentation, which is Olivia Walford. See you, darlings.
See you soon. Bye.